The Constitutional, Legal and Parliamentary Affairs Committee of Parliament has temporarily suspended public hearings in relation to the Anti-LGBTQ Bill. On Thursday, during the first public hearing, groups that are in support of the bill touted it as one that reflects the views of majority of Ghanaians on the subject matter, while the groups against the bill described it as one that is in breach of human rights and against Ghana's cultural values. The committee is expected to give audience to the authors of over 150 memoranda on the promotion of proper human sexual rights and Ghanaian family values bill. Closing the first session of public hearing on Thursday, November 11, 2021, Chairman of the committee, Kwame Onyedu, cited time constraints as the reason for the suspension of the hearings. A driver and his conductor are assisting the Hohoi District Police in investigations into the ownership of ammunition found in their commercial vehicle. The ammunition intercepted included 2 cartons of AAA and BBB cartridges, which were on board their red Yutong bus with registration number GT 5919-16. The Volta Regional Police Public Relations Officer, DSP Efia Tinge, said the bus was traveling from Accra when the police team acting on intelligence flagged it for a search at 3:45 p.m. The 2 cartons containing the cartridges were found concealed in the side compartment of the bus during the search. The driver in charge of the bus, Robert Ofosunyano, age 50, and his conductor, Godwin Anewo, were immediately placed under arrest for further interrogation and the bus impounded. President Nana Akufo-Addo will, from Saturday, November 13, 2021, take a 7-day leave to cool off stress after working for years without leave. In his absence, the Vice President, Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia, will act in his stead until he resumes official duties on November 20, 2021. The leave is in accordance with Article 68 of the Constitution. The Director of Communications at the Presidency, Eugene Ahin, who announced this during a media engagement at the Jubilee House on Thursday, November 11, 2021, said the President will, within the leave period, travel to France to preside over the panel for a debate in the French Parliament. President Akufo-Addo has not gone on official leave since June 2019. Prior to that, he took his initial leave somewhere in May 2018 after assuming office in January 2017. In a bid to strengthen business exchanges between Ghana and Japan, the Japan External Trade Organization, JETRO, has officially opened its office in Ghana. The JETRO office in Ghana is expected to focus on 3 main pillars of activities, which include trade and investment promotion, exhibition and business delegation in Ghana and Japan, and research and policy proposals. Despite commencing its business in the country in March 2020, the opening of its office had to be put on hold due to COVID-19 pandemic, which forced countries into lockdowns. Chairman and Chief Executive Officer of JETRO, Mr. Nobuhiko Sasaki, said the COVID-19 pandemic calls for the need for companies to leverage digital technologies in order to stay relevant. As such, he said JETRO was collaborating with domestic and overseas partners to digitize its services. He said the organization was building systems for online business matching and utilizing e-commerce. This, he said, was to help as many companies as possible to proactively engage in overseas operations. The government has approved and procured a mercury-free mineral processing technology for small-scale and community mining programs to create sustainable jobs and protect the environment, the lives of the miners, the communities, and the entire citizenry. The technology will lead to the complete elimination of mercury from the country's small-scale mining, which affects the entire mining ecosystem. The new technology introduced by a Ghanaian company, Commodity Monitor Limited, is to improve the operation of small-scale miners, improve gold recovery to more than 90%, and save the environment from toxic mercury contamination. The sector regulator and government have made a commitment for the procurement of additional 100 units of the technology for community mining areas across the country. This has the potential to create thousands of jobs for young people that are into artisanal and small-scale mining. Ghana will receive 20% free equity share for gold refined locally when Royal Gold Ghana Limited begins operation this year. Currently, all the gold produced by mining companies in the country are refined outside. Therefore, the government gains nothing from gold refined abroad. In that vein, the government entered into a public-private partnership with an Indian company, Rosie Royal Limited, to refine gold in Ghana. The agreement states that the government of Ghana will receive 20% equity share in the gold refined by the Indian company locally, while the Indian investor, which built the refinery, gets 80%. The Indian investor invested an estimated amount of $25 million in constructing the gold refinery. The Indian investor would also pay corporate taxes to the government and employ Ghanaians, and later the percentage of equity share between the parties will be 50-50% after the investor has operated the refinery for some time. Western members of the UN Security Council have condemned Belarus for the escalating crisis over migrants stranded on its border with Poland. In a strongly worded statement, they accused Belarus of using the migrants to destabilize the European Union's eastern border. Russia, Belarus' main ally, rejected the accusation. Earlier, Belarus' authoritarian leader threatened to cut off gas supplies to Europe if new sanctions were imposed. Thousands of people, many of them Kurds, arriving from the Middle East are camping at the border with Poland, enduring freezing conditions in the hope of crossing into the EU. The migrants are mainly young men, but there are also women and children. Crowds have tried to cut through a barbed wire fence to enter Poland this week, only to be pushed back by Polish bodyguards and the army. However, some migrants have managed to slip through. Austrians are days away from a first lockdown for anyone not fully vaccinated after record infections were reported across the country. Upper Austria province will impose restrictions from Monday if it gets the go-ahead from the federal government. Salzburg also plans new measures. Chancellor Alexander Schellenberg said a national lockdown for the unvaccinated was, quote, probably inevitable. 2/3 of people should not suffer because others were hesitant, he said. Upper Austria, which borders Germany and the Czech Republic and has a population of 1.5 million, has the country's highest level of infection and the lowest vaccination rate. Nationally, a record 11,975 COVID-19 infections were recorded in the past 24 hours, and Austria's Coronavirus Commission has warned of a threat that, quote, must be taken seriously. Myanmar military has sentenced U.S. journalist Danny Fenster to 11 years in jail. Fenster was found guilty of breaching immigration law, unlawful association, and encouraging dissent against the military. He was earlier this week slapped with 2 additional charges of sedition and terrorism, which carry a maximum sentence of life imprisonment. His trial on the new charges will begin on 16th November. Fenster, aged 37, who was the managing editor of online site Frontier Myanmar, was detained in Yangon International Airport in May. He is one of dozens of local journalists that have been detained since the military coup in February. According to Frontier, Fenster had earlier worked for Myanmar Now, an independent news site that has been critical of the military since the coup. Ghana and South Africa will go head-to-head in Cape Coast on Sunday for a place in next year's African World Cup playoffs. Mali sealed their place in the final round of qualifiers as they beat 10-man Rwanda 3-0 to secure a top spot in Group E and join Morocco and Senegal in progressing through the group stage. Ghana now know any kind of win on Sunday over visiting South Africa will see them through as Group G winners, despite the Black Stars being held to a 1-1 by Ethiopia in Johannesburg. After their narrow win over Zimbabwe on Thursday, Bafana Bafana know that a draw from their trip to Ghana will be enough for them to progress. Only the group winners will progress to the playoffs next March, when the continent's 5 representatives in the Middle East will be decided. Ghana secondary Hisakas finished tops in their group campaign at the ongoing Confederation of African Football Women's Champions League, despite being held to a 2-2 draw by Egypt's Wadi Degla in the final Group A match in Cairo yesterday. Having already qualified for the semi-finals following 2 previous wins, Hisaka's ladies needed just a draw, while the Egyptians required at least 3 goals to remain in the tournament. The North Africans did their best to score 2 goals, which were not enough, as the Ghanaians also scored 2 goals to pull through to the last 4 stage with 7 points. It was, however, the end of the road for the host, as Malibu Kings finished second after drawing 1-1 draw with Mali's AS Monday in the other group game. Hisaka's ladies will now await the Group B runners-up in Tuesday's semi-final battle, while Malibu Kings face the winners of Group B in the semi-final match. After 2 years of litigation and personal wrangling, the Musician Union of Ghana, Musica, has finally settled on January 12, 2022 to hold national and regional elections for officers to run the organization. A statement from the union said the decision was arrived at following interventions from the Ministry of Tourism, Arts and Culture and a court decision that requested the litigants to resolve matters using the union's internal mechanism. Next year's elections will be the first time all paid-up members of the union get the chance to vote. Previous Musica elections involved electoral colleagues selected from the regional branches. That method was scrapped after the last Congress at Koforidua in 2015, which gave Bryce Osei-Kuffour a second mandate to be president. The president, Nana Akufo-Addo, has taken a decision to honor the late legendary Ghanaian high-life musician Nana Kwame Ampedu with a state-assisted burial. This will be done in honor of his contribution to the growth of the Ghanaian music industry. Announcing during a Jubilee House press briefing on Thursday, November 11, 2021, the Director of Communications for the Presidency, Eugene Ayin, said information will be duly communicated to the family of the late singer. Nana Ampedu was one-time president of Musica and was also the leader of the African Brothers Band formed in 1963. The legendary high-life musician has been credited with several popular high-life tracks. He is known to have composed over 800 songs.